Hello and happy Super Bowl Sunday to all out there. Welcome into the PHLY Eagles show, presented, of course, by our friends over at Bet365. You can find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. I would say a big game Sunday like today is not an ordinary Sunday. And of course, our friends over at Ace Hardware Home Services. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. Jamie Lynch, Fran Duffy, Rich Hofmann here with you. We're going to be joined by Zack Berman and Bo Wulf from New Orleans. Anthony Gargano is going to check in. This is a big day, guys.
Big day, big night.
Super Bowl. Third time in 7 years. I can get used to this.
It feels like 2 weeks that we've been spending talking about this game. And it's been, honestly, look, it's been a long week. You and I were down in New Orleans for the most of this week, and it's finally here. I'm excited to talk through this game. There's still a lot to chew on here from now until kickoff. We've got about an hour. Rich, there's still a lot to discuss, though.
Guys, the pregame nerves are setting in. It's not that I'm nervous about the Eagles or any less confident in them. But like Fran said, I've been pretty zen for the last 2 weeks. I've been excited, ready for the game to get here. But now that it's here, those pregame jitters are starting to set in a little bit.
Yeah, and generally, I think we all feel pretty good. But I'm with you. The pregame nerves are hitting a little bit.
I do feel good.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a lot about this game. But let's just kick it off before we get to Bo down in New Orleans. I think the first thing on every Eagles fan's minds right now is Saquon Barkley. He's going to break the record today unless an injury happens. Ooh. Knock on wood. Yep. That's the only way that injury wouldn't be or the record wouldn't be broken is that. But he's going to go out and hopefully cap what it could be, the greatest running back season of all time. Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense, Fran, obviously have their hands full with Saquon Barkley. Is he kind of, the pendulum of this game in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy that if you are Spags, if you're the Chiefs, you're going into this game saying, we can't let 26 beat us. We can't let Saquon Barkley go through this secondary. And so I would imagine that you're going to get plenty of run stunts up front. They're going to load the box as best they can. You're going to get a lot of slanting and post-snap movement. To me, when I look at the Chiefs, defensively, they will play with some bigger nose tackles. They've got some guys on the inside that can stuff the run. They've got some linebackers that are really short tacklers. When they are in those big packages, that's when I expect the Eagles to go with a lot of those perimeter run schemes and try and see if they can stretch those guys out. And then when they get into their sub package, when it's third and medium and you kick the defensive ends inside and you get those bigger bodies off the field, that's when you get those vertical runs, those straight inside zone duo runs there from the Eagles. And that's where the smash mouth football comes into play. So I think the Eagles have all the answers in their toolkit to when it comes to trying to go up against what the Chiefs are going to bring to the table.
Fran, I have a question for you because I think the general philosophical question to ask against this Eagles run game is, do you load the box and try and get some of those negative runs? But if you load the box, as you can see, if the Eagles block it well and get Saquon at the second level, it can mean some of these huge runs that he has just completely, it's every week now. Do you expect the Chiefs to do that? Do you expect them to stay in a too high shell and maybe say, all right, let's see if you can be efficient against us? Or maybe do they mix it up a little bit? Because Steve Spagnuolo is known as somebody who will mix it up.
I think that what you'll see, the Rams and some other teams, they were like aggressively getting as many guys up on the line of scrimmage as possible. And that's when it's like, all right, all he has to do is get to the second level, and now he's breaking off. I think the Chiefs will play a little bit more measured in terms of just keeping those linebackers off the ball a little bit. These are guys that can close. You look at Nick Bolton, he plays really, really fast. Drew Tranquil, he's a 4-4 guy. He's got that sideline to sideline speed. I think they will trust their guys to be able to out leverage and get to the sideline. And so I do think that they're not going to necessarily get all those guys up on the line of scrimmage, knowing that that's exactly how they were able to beat the Rams and gash them.
So, everybody in the world, Steve Spagnuolo included, wants to stop Saquon Barkley. It hasn't been an easy thing to do. The Chiefs have not allowed a 100-yard rusher in 17 consecutive playoff games. And there's been Christian McCaffrey's and Derrick Henry's and some really good running backs in there. What is the key to the Eagles' run game being successful today versus Steve Spagnuolo?
To me, this is the best offensive line they've gone up against. They being the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sure.
Look, the San Francisco, that is more scheme. And when you look at the offense, or you look at Christian McCaffrey, like a pure talent, obviously when healthy. But I think when you look at Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton, Cam Jurgens, like pound for pound, the strongest offensive line in football, the ability to move people off the ball. And the Eagles, they have proven that they are going to stick to that run game. And, we were talking offset, beforehand, just talking about how this game could play out. And Jamie, you made the point, like you're going to dance with the one who bought you. And the one who bought this Eagles team there is Saquon Barkley in this run game. It would behoove them to stick to that as the game wears on.
Yeah, right now on Bet365, Rich, the over-under for Saquon rushes is 21.5. I hate how much I love that over. Like, I think that's almost like a free bet today because of what we just said, like stick with what got you here. And what got you here is perhaps the greatest running back season we've ever seen.
Well, and to Fran's point, it's almost game script agnostic almost too. It's like, even if they get behind, they're probably still going to run the ball, right? That's what they do. They run the ball on early downs. They stick with it, even if some of those negative plays pile up, because a big play is right around the corner with Saquon.
Did you see that stat that Dan Orlovsky put out late in the week? I'm going to pull it up because I was actually one of the more insane numbers that I've seen over the course of this week. In a week where there's so much talk about this entire game. This is from Dan Orlovsky earlier this week. Saquon Barkley became the 54th player in NFL history to score 20 touchdowns from scrimmage in a single season. Of those 54, he's the only one whose average score exceeded 30 yards in length. A running back, 30 yards in length. The other guys that did it, Mark Clayton, Jerry Rice, and then Gale Sayers was the last one to do it in 1965. Just an insane big play ability from Saquon Barkley. Rich, to me, encapsulates that point you just made to a T.
Yeah, I think so. So let's talk about the pass game next, though, because the thing that I am curious about is Chris Jones is a guy who lines up all over the line of scrimmage. I think that's what people have said. He can line up on the end. He can line up outside, inside. I wonder, just looking at the Eagles and looking at their general strengths and weaknesses, do you think Mekhi Becton is going to see a lot of him tonight?
I think so. And I think what you'll see is plenty of stunts and twists to Becton's side as well. That's something that the Chiefs have been really good at. When you go back to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, on every third down, they basically said, we are going to double Chris Jones. We're going to give him that Aaron Donald treatment. We're always going to slide in that direction. My guess, you'll probably see that here in this game. That said, I think that you're only going to double him when he's lined up over Becton, when you're lined up over Jurgens or Dickerson, when he's lined up inside. When he's over the offensive tackle, if he's over Lane Johnson, if he's over Jordan Mailata, where he's spent a lot of his time, not just this year in the regular season, but even in the playoffs, they would put him on Laramie Tunsil. They would put him on Deion Dawkins, one of the best. Those are two of the best tackles in football. I don't think that they're scared of that matchup with going up against Lane, going up against Jordan Mailata. The Eagles are willing to leave those guys on an island.
They do it all year, right?
They do it all year. They do it more than anybody. And so I don't think that, if he's going to be lined up at defensive end, I don't think that you'll see the double team. I think they'll be okay saying, all right, we're going to divert those resources elsewhere and leave our tackles alone with Chris Jones. But he's absolutely the guy you have to stop up front.
So who, in your opinion, because Chris Jones goes everywhere, who's the most important Eagles offensive lineman today? Cam Jurgens, healthy, apparently back at practice, full strength. But Mailata and Lane get left on islands all the time. Mekhi Becton, this is kind of new territory for him, obviously, playing in games of this magnitude. In your opinion, who's the most vital guy today?
I'm going to answer it with a little bit of a couched answer because to me, the big thing for this pass game going up against Spags is going to be the making sure that you have a good pass protection plan. No question. You want to make sure that you are sound with your pass protections. We have an idea that it's Jalen Hurts is in charge of that. But that said, Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens are two guys that are very involved there in that pre-snap phase of pointing things out, and certainly with relaying that call. If Jalen Hurts is going to make that call, then it's going to be up to the interior guys to make sure that that's communicated well. When you look at some of the Chiefs' biggest plays, they do such a great job of getting unblocked pressures to the quarterback, so you can't overthink it. To me, I go back to that playoff game a couple weeks ago against the Houston Texans, where the Texans, you could tell, before the snap, you would have a linebacker on the line of scrimmage to one side, and they're thinking C.J. Stroud, the offensive line, they're like, all right, he's putting a linebacker here, but they're actually going to send somebody over there, so we're going to slide the protection that way, and then they don't block the linebacker and he comes clean. You have to make sure that you are buttoned up. You have to expect that they're going to give you some unexpected looks, some unscouted looks, but you have to make sure that you are very sound with your plan. So Juergens, Dickerson, Becton, that interior group alongside with Jalen Hurts, make sure that that's ready.
Yeah, I listened to the Kelsey podcast on my way home, kind of, prepping because I thought he would have some good insight. And he just kind of was like, man, Spags, at least twice a game, he's going to get you somewhere you didn't know. And all you can do is scramble and try to recover to the best of your ability. So yeah, you're probably right. This is a game between the ears for the offensive line.
Huge.
Let's take a quick break before we get down to New Orleans and check in with Bo Wulf and tell you about some of our sponsors and hit that thumbs up button while we do.
And guys, let's start by talking about our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services. Do you have a leaky pipe? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they are around the block with everything that you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. Do you have an air conditioning issue? They have a person for that too. Got a faucet that you said you would fix last year? They have a person for that too. Because now Ace is not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they are bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. And Ace guys, they bring experience. They are local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. They bring understanding, they listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you, the customer, are satisfied. And they bring helpful to your home so you can spend more of your time on the projects that really matter. So go on and visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
And of course, one of our other presenting sponsors is Bet365. You can find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use promo code PHLY365 at sign up, and you can get yourself $150 guaranteed, win or lose, with your first bet. And they have you covered for the big game. There's tons of specials and props, and there's a whole Swiftie special thing. It's basically a Travis Kelce prop page. I'm looking at Saquon Barkley right now. His over-under is currently 111.5. I hate how much I love DeVonta Smith's over-under tonight. You can do the alternate lines there. You can get, if you bet 80 yards for DeVonta Smith, you can get a little plus 325 action. But Bet365 has over 90 million users worldwide. They've perfected live in-game bettings, and they have the best early payout offers in sports. And keep your eyes peeled right on the homepage right now, a custom PHLY odds boost that includes Jalen scoring, Eagles money line, and DeVonta Smith yards. You can get that for plus 1,400. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Open that account, win or lose. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, use that code PHLY365. Deposit $10 and place a $5 bet to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. And it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, I tried to hit the mark for our next guest, who I assume is there, Julia, because he is a punctual man. But we are going to go down. I keep wanting to say the old sponsor of the Superdome, the Caesars Superdome now.
Yes.
So that's one I keep walking into. But we're going to check in and do a little game ball action with the one and only Mr. Bo Wulf. Well, he'll be joining us He's here. It's Julia's got the pregame nerves going on.
Julie, I get it.
I brought in a little canned cocktail just in case I needed to kill the nerves. But this is the game ball presented by our friends at Xfinity Mobile. Join the millions who have switched to one of the fastest growing mobile services with Xfinity Mobile. Mr. Bo Wulf from down at the Caesars Superdome. Oh, look at that backdrop.
Wow, what a backdrop.
This is great offer, guys. What every voice is saying. Can you put it in a minute?
I think you're speaking an alien language. We might have to reconnect here, Bo. I wasn't alone there, right?
I couldn't pick up what he was
Couldn't really
dropping
make
there.
out what he was saying.
What is he?
It's
Pretty field. It's very New Orleans colored.
What's he doing?
What's going on?
The
Oh, I think it's no. It wouldn't be the national anthem, but it looks like people are being silent.
Is there a moment?
I have no.
No,
There's no
it wouldn't
way.
be. It's
Yeah,
5:48.
It's way too early.
Maybe it's God Bless America or something.
This was how Bo's hit had to go anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
this is perfect.
a perfect look inside the Superdome.
They are performing something, a live concert. I know. I was actually excited for some of this. John Baptiste was performing with Trombone Shorty, and a lot of like New Orleans local legends were performing.
Bo looking sharp though. Look at the tie.
Wow, Bo in the tie. I mean, the field looks great. Very New Orleans-y. All right. Well, Julia, we'll chew the fat here until. Are we done?
This is
Can you hear me?
There we go.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
voice. Yeah, I'm here now.
All right.
What was going on there? Who was performing, Bo?
It was lift every voice. So I did not want to interrupt. I did not work out on my favorite day.
Got it. All right. Well, Bo, what's the latest? What juice do you have for us down from Nolans?
I would tell you a couple things. One, the crowd here decidedly go Eagles. You can tell that just by Patrick Mahomes getting vociferously booed as he comes back on the field, and the Eagles come on the field, lots of cheers. So expect a very heavy pro Eagles crowd tonight. Not a surprise, but that is coming to the store. One word of caution, I would say. Jake Elliott in pregame warm-up, not exactly nailed. He was spraying it a little bit. So I missed on both sides. So hopefully that does not come to fruition, but that is something to monitor. Otherwise, everything is looking like you'd expect. Brandon Graham is out here, showing the key rating that's close to the Super Bowl start. Everybody's good.
So, Bo, we're doing the Xfinity Game Ball segment. Who, in your opinion, is most vital to the Eagles' success in getting that game ball today?
I thought about a lot of different choices here. And what's so great about the Super Bowl is that somebody with the Eagles with this game is going to be talking under the radar legends. A guy like Stuart Clements from the Super Bowl 8 years ago, right? And so, Jalen Hurts is obvious. Saquon Barkley is obvious. I think A.J. Brown is a little bit under the radar potentially. Remember, the Eagles have not lost a single game all season long when both Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown finished the games. And I think Jalen Carter is obviously somebody to watch. I think I'm going to go. This is not really under the radar, and it's the guy who we would talk about as being the most improved player on the team over the course of the season. But I think given the attention that Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter is going to get in the defensive line, I really think Nolan Smith has a chance to be a real stud in this game. I don't expect the Chiefs to do anything on the ball in this game at all. And I know as Fran told us this week that Patrick Mahomes was putting the ball super quickly, and so they went up to win very early. And I think Nolan Smith is a guy who can do that for you and potentially create a play.
All right, Bo, this was an excellent hit. I think one the sickos will truly appreciate. But thank you for joining us. I know you're going to be writing after the game, capturing some locker room sights and sounds. So we look forward to hearing from you in the post-game show.
All right, thanks, Bob.
All right, see ya. Yes, as one of the commenters wanted to know, was Bo calling from inside of a bowl of Jello there. I think the Apple AirPods were failing Bo on that one. But the Superdome press box is very high up compared to a lot of other press boxes, as you can see from his vantage point.
Hashtag Bo's Wi-Fi.
Hashtag Bo hates technology.
As Soybot says, better than Bo singing as far as bits go. But yeah, that was a good check-in. I think he was speaking in alien language there. So we got a little lost in translation. But Zach Berman is going to be joining us at 6 o'clock here at top of the hour. And knowing Zach, he'll probably find a nice quiet spot and really be locked in.
I'm sure Bo will not take part in that one.
All right, so we left off talking about the Chiefs' defensive line versus the Eagles' offensive line.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Eagles' offense, Fran, the Chiefs play a lot of zone defense that cover two. What is the key for Jalen Hurts today? To me, it's not holding on to the ball forever,
Yep.
making quick decisions. How do you see Jalen Hurts versus this Chiefs passing defense going?
Yeah, I think the big thing to keep in mind is that they are always going to be changing up their looks, and typically they're going to be playing some kind of zone coverage behind it, as you mentioned, Jamie. This is a team that wants to play more zone compared to man, especially compared to the teams in the past that we've seen from Spags. When they had, Charvarius Ward, when they had the corners that they had on that team previously, even going back to that last Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the Eagles, that was a team that wanted to play a little bit more man coverage. But now with this version of this group, they are a better zone coverage team, and that has shown up from the numbers and it shows up on film. To me, the biggest thing is that, again, they're going to try and change the picture. Spags does it probably like middle of the pack over the course of the regular season. He jumps up and does it a lot more in postseason, and he has done it more against Jalen Hurts in his 3 starts against Hurts than any other team that he's faced multiple times. And so that's something that we know. Spags feels like he can push that button. He can push that button over and over. We're going to try and disguise coverage. We're going to show him cover 1 before the snap and then spin out to cover 2. We're going to show him one thing. Maybe he thinks it's going to be cover 3, then it's cover 4. It'll be up to Jalen to make sure that you execute, understand where your answers are against all these different coverage families, and make sure you get the ball out to your playmakers. He did such a great job of this in that Washington game.
The straitjacket was taken off.
The straitjacket was off in that game. There was that big 3rd down completion to Dallas Goedert that comes to mind where they showed like it was going to be man coverage. It was going to be cover 1. Jalen did not buy it. He was able to get the ball out against zone coverage, against cover 2, found Goddard for a 10-yard completion down the field. You need to be able to do that repeatedly here against Spags.
So, Rich, are they going to keep the straitjacket off again today?
I think they're going to have to if they want to win this game, because I like what Bo said where I do.
Oh, you actually heard some of that?
I did. No, when earlier in the week when he was not underwater. Yes. Where he said that when the Eagles defense goes up against the Chiefs offense, I think that's a pretty fair fight. And I think that's going to be one where the Chiefs offense, they win some possessions. The Eagles defense, they win some possessions. But as Bo coming in the chat.
Yes, that's pretty much what we heard, Bo.
So it feels like the game is probably going to be won on the other side, right? Where there's a lot of variance, where Spags could put the straitjacket back on Jalen, or Jalen could have a similar game that he had 2 years ago against Spags. So, Fran, one thing that I am curious about, because we talked about the blitz, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago before that Washington game. You also mentioned that you think it's going to be more of a spread offense type of game, where you don't want to be in bunch formations, because that's when Spags can really kind of disguise blitzes and you have no idea where it's coming from. Is it a matter of combining that with like the RPO game, QB run game, some empty sets? Like, how are they going to specifically be able to beat this blitz?
The simple answer, yes. All of it. Just do all those things.
Is Saquon going to catch a ball today?
Ooh, yeah, I like that. I think Bo. We'll hear from Bo a little bit on that on the best bets. But I think when you look at the way that they attacked Washington, Rich, it was a little bit of everything. It was you had the RPO, you had the screen game, you had the QB run game, you had the quick passing game, you had the vertical pass game, you had all of those layers to that offense. And if you are Steve Spagnuolo, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, that's the version of this Eagles offense you do not want to see, because when they've got the ability to beat you right-handed and left-handed, that's what they're the hardest offense to stop in football. When you've got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, DeVonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, no team and no defense is prepared to stop that, especially if you're contending against a Vic Fangio defense.
So I got the over-unders right here on rushing yards. Jalen Hurts at Bet365 currently sits at 37.5 rushing yards. Is this a game where you see him being able to kind of bust up Spags' plans a little bit with his legs?
I like the over there. I think that when you look at Jalen, this run game is at its best when you've got the threat of the quarterback run, and when you've got those design, QB counter runs, those QB draws. That was such a big part of the game plan the last time these two teams faced off in the Super Bowl. Remember some of those big runs that Jalen made. Obviously, you got to protect the football. You can't put the ball on the ground like he did in that last one. But I think when you look at Jalen and the impact he can make with his legs, that's got to be a big part of the game plan.
Yeah, for today, this morning, I've avoided rewatching that game.
Yeah.
This morning, it was on in the kitchen, and I rewatched it. It's a shame because Hertz was so good last time they played the Chiefs defense. Now, the guys on the receiving end, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. DeVonta Smith, we know the numbers, 325 yards in 3 games versus the Chiefs. A.J. Brown is a beast, fully healthy now. Which one of those 3 do you see having the biggest game here to both of you?
I think this is a DeVonta game. I think when
love
you
to hear
look at, to me, when you look at
Now, he does have the hamstring.
Yeah.
Was a full participant Friday, so it's fine, but hamstring's always something.
it feels like him and AJ have been both just been
Yeah.
battling stuff all season long. To me, I look at the production that the Chiefs have given up in the slot, and DeVonta has gotten more slot reps than AJ over the course of this season. I just feel like there's a matchup to be had there with DeVonta Smith in this game.
Who you got, Rich?
Well, I mean, which one does Trent McDuffie cover? I don't want to make it as simple as just throw it. AJ Brown, look, he took Trent McDuffie deep in the last Super Bowl. That's one of the plays. It's funny that you say you don't remember a lot from the last Super Bowl, Jamie. I have like blocked so much of that game out of my memory. I do remember AJ Brown long touchdown over Trent McDuffie early in the game, but I think there are favorable matchups for the other guys there as well. So, look, I mean, A.J. Brown against anybody, I will take A.J. Against all of them. But I could definitely see it being a big DeVonta game, especially if they play a lot of zone, right? Because DeVonta is the guy that kind of finds those creases in the zone, similar to Travis Kelce for the Chiefs as well on the other side. So, look, the good news here is the Eagles, their skill position talent, it's overwhelming. And as Fran said, if they have the RPO game going, if they have the QB run game going, they are really difficult to stop. We saw that last week. They just need the passing game to be on point one more time, and then they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right. We're going to be joined by the Stone Cold Newsman, Zack Berman, coming up. Let's get a little thumbs up in the chat here for the Birds. It's good luck.
Thumbs up.
I read in the YouTube algorithm that it's good luck for the Eagles if you hit the thumbs up button right now. But let's take a quick break and tell you about some friends of ours here at PHLY. And that's our friends over at Rothman Orthopedics. The Eagles have been a little beat up this year, and if they're smart, they'd get over to Rothman Ortho. And you don't need to be a professional athlete to hit up Rothman. Whether your joints are aching, your hands are cramping, your back is out of whack, Rothman has got you covered. At Rothman Orthopedics, they've been practicing specialized care, and it's been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty, whether it be hip, knees, spine, shoulders, whatever it is, they have a team for each body part right in your backyard so you can cross over the defense, drain those J's, throw the long bomb to A.J. Brown in the end zone, and root for your teams like no other fans in the country. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman Orthopedics, specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and to make an appointment today.
And now we'll hear from our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union, because maybe you spent some money. Maybe you're down in New Orleans. Maybe you got tickets to the game. You got to pay for flights. You got to pay for hotel. Maybe you didn't go down, but you had to pay for a Super Bowl party. You got all the food. You got to make sure you got the Super Bowl gear. It can put you in a little bit of debt. So if that is the case with you, what if you could pay it all off faster and with zero interest until 2026? If that sounds like a good idea for you, then you need to listen up, because TrueMark Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers for 12 months. So all of your payments can go towards reducing your balance, not just covering your interest. So here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. But hurry, you have got to apply by February 28th. That's 19 days from now. February 28th is the final date there. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or if you simply just prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies. Stanford rates apply after the promotional rate.
All right, welcome back into the PHLY Eagles show, presented by our friends at Bet365 and Ace Hardware Home Services. We are technically 29 minutes away from kickoff, although I looked up the last Fox Super Bowl. Kickoff actually happened at 6:44 p.m., so a little bit of a wiggle room.
Way to take the wind out of our sails.
Yeah. So let's waste no time, though, and let's get down to New Orleans again, hopefully with better audio this time, and check in for the locker room report, brought to you by our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. 0% APR right there. Got to do it by February 28th. Take advantage of that great deal. Let's check in with the Stone Cold Newsman, Mr. Zack Berman. Zack.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to speak to you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, buddy. Happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Great. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. This is awesome, right? We work all year long for this day, right? So this is neat. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be on the show. Thrilled to bring what's going on, the sights and sounds, smells, everything about the Super Bowl here.
So, Zach, before we get to your on-field observations, I guess the big inactive news is that Bryce Huff is inactive. I would take Brandon Graham with one arm over Bryce Huff with two every day. But what are your on-field observations, inactive report, all that good stuff?
Yeah, it was never a matter of Brandon Graham or Bryce Huff. I thought it was going to be more Bryce Huff or maybe Paris Campbell, right? And so it jumped out to me that they went with Paris. They went with the extra wide receiver as opposed to the extra edge rusher. I didn't think it'd be out of line to keep 5 edge rushers active. If something were to happen to Graham, but they've been comfortable going with 3 edge rushers this year if they have to. So it's certainly, we've been talking all week, 2 weeks season about the offseason Howie Roseman had. He had this offseason in his career, but the blemish was that Bryce Huff signing, and it's pretty blatant you're inactive during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see exactly what move they made there. Zach, Bo mentioned Jake Elliott, is taking away there the performance from Jake there in pregame warmups. Were there any other takeaways there from you in during the warm-up session before they went back to the locker room?
I wouldn't necessarily, Bo had the observation about Jake Elliott. Honestly, my big takeaway really was it's similar to how it's been throughout the past 2 weeks. Is that this is a team that's locked in, right? The people kind of posting, taking photos were more the people around the team. I thought the players themselves, they've been saying this is a business trip. They've been saying they're doing everything they can to make this as comparable to a real game as they can. And this was a completely normal pregame warm-up for them, right? Down to the only difference is Jordan Mailata wasn't wearing, or he was wearing shoes. He wasn't going barefoot. He's typically barefoot. But really overall, yeah, the lineup is as we expected. There wasn't anything notably different other than the pomp and circumstance that goes along with the Super Bowl.
ZB, you have covered 3 of these in the last 8 years. I'm curious, was there any difference in between kind of how the Eagles team, I know individual players probably handle it a little bit differently, but how they handled it this week compared to the last 2 times they were on this stage?
Yeah, Rich, this team, this is nobody's underdog, right? And I think there tends to be this rallying cry in Philly, no one believes in us, and this is a team that the sense I got, I don't want to say they think they're better than Kansas City, but this is a team that knows they're good, right? And there have been years in the past when the underdog thing came up, or it was we're trying to prove people wrong. This is a team that struck me throughout the playoffs, in the week in Philly before the Super Bowl, and this past week, as they know how good they are. They are a bona fide heavyweight. I think it wouldn't surprise me if in meetings this week, one of the messages from the coaches is, you guys are the better team here, right? You should win this game. You're expected to win this game. That's the prevailing sentiment that I would have. Is this is a team that's been locked in. This is a team that is not impressed by the fact that they're at the Super Bowl. This is a team that expected to be at the Super Bowl. And I think they're a team that expects to win this game.
So, Zach, looking out at the Superdome in front of you, how would you break down the attendance here? What percentage green versus red? What are we looking at?
Disproportionately green, right? I mean, after Anthony's show yesterday, I took a long walk around New Orleans. I hadn't been to Bourbon Street since I got here, and I'm like, all right, I at least have to see it. And where you went, there were Eagles chants. There were Go Birds messages. There was green everywhere. There really wasn't that much or that many Chiefs fans around town. Now, look, if you're a Chiefs fan, like annual for you. The straight Super Bowl, the 4th in 5 years. So, there's like this expectation that they get there. But I think this crowd, I've covered 8 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowl games, and the thing that really jumps out to me is usually it's more of like a neutral crowd. It's almost like antiseptic in a way, right? And this is a crowd that I think will be disproportionately Eagles fans. I think you saw it on Bourbon Street, you saw it around town, you saw it walking into the stadium today. I'm expecting there to be a lot of Eagles fans here.
All right, Zach, we'll let you go because we got Anthony Gargano joining the show. But before we let you go, final prediction of the year. What are you feeling? Are you sticking with the prediction you had on Friday? Have you swayed at all?
No, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Eagles are the better team. Chiefs have the better quarterback, like we've been saying all along. I'm sticking to 28-27. I think that you don't want Mahomes to have the ball last, but I do think the Chiefs miss a field goal late in the game. The Eagles need to keep the Chiefs off the field, and they're able to do that, and the Eagles win their 2nd Super Bowl.
I have to know, before we let you go, are you going to watch Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, it's a halftime in front of me, so of course I will. Looking forward to it. It's the 4th concert I've been to.
Looking forward to catching up with you post-game, Zach. You'll be capturing all the sights and sounds, and I'm, of course, giving out the best reporting in the city. Looking forward to it, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Zach.
See you, man.
He had this Robert Wolf guy walking behind him there in the beginning.
Held firm. Held strong.
The professional that he is. Yes. Let's get a little thumbs up and hearts for the birds. And let's check out our super chats before we get to our big takeaways. And then Anthony Gargano here. We love our super chats. Max Strzowski says, oh, is that Yen? Well. One of the hosts was a Robert in Bo Wulf's clothing all along. Very good point. If we have from Wallace, shout out to the entire PHLY crew for an awesome week of shows. Let's go Birds, 31-27, just like the Gov predicted. Super Bowl MVP, A.J. Brown. That would be, that's an outside the box one. You can probably get some nice odds on that with Bet365. Nick Wong says, watching from Brisbane, Australia. Thanks, PHLY, for the awesome week of content, and go Birds. Brisbane, Australia is an awesome, awesome place. We appreciate that, Nick. And final one, Juan Pablo Martin Reba says...
Pablo Martin Reba.
Yeah, okay, $4.99 to say your name.
Thank you,
go,
Juan
Pablo Martin Reba. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you to everybody hanging out with us here. 20 minutes till game time. In about 5 minutes, we're going to check in with Anthony Gargano to see how he's always a good gauge of how the town's feeling.
Yep.
But let's get to our big takeaways. And I want all of us here to kind of just contribute a big takeaway of what it's going to take for the Eagles to win. And of course, the big takeaways are sponsored by Con Murphy's Irish Pub in Center City. Hopefully, we're all at a big event at some point this week. And Con Murphy's is the best spot to be at because the location is ideal if something does happen down the line this week. All right, my big takeaway. This was a tweet earlier I saw from Warren Sharp. Vic Fangio versus the Chiefs offense. I think this is going to come down to red zone stops.
Yeah.
This blew me away. Percentage of drives to reach the red zone versus Fangio, the Chiefs reached the red zone on 37% of drives. 37% of other teams also reached the red zone.
Okay.
So similar rates there. Now the touchdown rate, because I'm sick of hearing Vic Fangio's 0-8 versus Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, well, he also had some bad quarterbacks.
Drew Lock is not his quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sick of it. But Vic Fangio holds Patrick Mahomes to 30% touchdown rate inside said red zone. Every other defense, 62%. So I think this is going to come down to, bending but not breaking inside that red zone. And Uncle Vic, my trust is in you. Come on, Vic. That's my big takeaway. Fran, what do you got?
And they haven't been good in the red zone this year. That's been a sore spot for this Chiefs offense. And so, it's a great stat there from Warren. I'm glad you brought that up. For me, I'm going to stay with that side of the ball. I'm going to take a look at Patrick Mahomes and this pass game for the Chiefs. What do the Eagles need to do to stop them? The big thing, look, the Eagles have done a great job at limiting explosive plays, vertical shot plays. Well, the good news for Kansas City, that's not the way they live. They don't make their money by going deep vertically down the field. They are perfectly fine dinking and dunking and matriculating the football slowly but surely down the field. The Eagles need to make sure that they force Patrick Mahomes to hold on to the football. He has been money down the stretch here in the final month of the season. When he gets rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds, he has been one of the best quarterbacks in football. When he has to hold it for more than 2.5, his numbers plummet. And so what can the Eagles do? It's a little bit of everything. You want to try and maybe you can play some press coverage, but the other thing is you just want to make sure you want to take the air out of the coverage. Those underneath zone defenders, make sure you're passing off routes. Don't make things well-defined. And if they're going to make things where, hey, you know what, we're going to throw it into the flat before you have the ability to defend that area, well, then you got to tackle the catch at a really high rate. No missed tackles from Cooper DeJean and from Quinyon Mitchell, all those guys on the outside. The second level, when you go to Zack Baun and Oren Burks, those guys have to be short tacklers. That's going to be a big part of the Chiefs' success in this game. Can they convert on enough of those quick throws to make the Eagles pay?
Rich, what do you got?
Well, since we haven't really talked about that side of the ball, we'll go 3 for 3 with our big takeaway on that side of the ball. And Fran talked about, Jamie, you talked about the coaching. Fran talked about the back seven. I'm going to talk about the front four. How are these guys going to block Jalen Carter, right?
Yep.
Because they have an interesting line set up where Joe Thuney has done a really nice job of solidifying their pass coverage. Doesn't really look like a left tackle out there, honestly, but he gets the job done. They don't run the ball that much. But they have a weak spot in Caliendo at left guard. What does Jalen Carter do? Does he get some snaps over there? He doesn't usually get some snaps over there. But do the Chiefs leave him one-on-one against Trey Smith? Do they slide to that side? I think Milton Williams, Moro Ajomo, the guys who are on the other side, if Jalen Carter is being slid to, could have a massive game. And Fran also mentioned on the right side of that line, Jawan Taylor. That's somebody who, maybe some of the defensive ends can get some pressure against as well. It's going to be, it's a marriage of both, right? That the secondary, the back seven, they have to hold up. But I do think this is a Chiefs offensive line that has some spots where the Eagles can feast against. Can the guys who have those favorable matchups win one-on-one? Maybe it's Jalen Carter against Trey Smith. Trey Smith is a very good player, but Jalen Carter, pretty hard to block one-on-one. I was worried earlier in the week because he wasn't feeling that good, but then I saw him, I think it was at the Green Legion tailgate on Friday. He's good to go. Nice 24-hour bounce back from Jalen. Can he wreck this game? What happens up front? That's
I feel a Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter sack coming down in my plums. But look, when the Eagles won in 2017, the day of the game, I called into the radio and spoke with this man. Last time the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, we did not connect on game day, so I wanted to do everything I could to right the wrongs of last Super Bowl, and I had to bring my man Cuz on to the pregame show to join us. What up, Ant? How's the party?
Let's go.
How's your spread? Is the food, the drinks all in order? How we doing?
I'm not even, I haven't even gotten anything. I don't want anything. I just need the game to start. I'm freaking dying. I feel great, all right? I completely feel great about this game. I feel confident. I think they're going to win by double digits.
Ooh.
I think there's going to be margin. I do. I smell it. I think, again, Chiefs come out early and they're a little bit of a scare. They go down the field, and then the next thing you know, the Eagles just start to flex. I love them. Better team. We've been talking about for 2 weeks, right? Better team, more talent. Better team, better in the trenches. That O-line, that D-line, I heard you guys talking about it. You're spot on. Jalen Carter, BG, this is it, brother. This is going to be it. You guys get ready for the storm Broad Street. I wish I was with you guys.
And if we're doing the post-game show here and we're recapping the glorious game, who's getting the MVP?
Barkley. It's Saquon. This is storybook. One of the things I fell in love with covering sports when I was a writer was the story, right?
Sure.
The story of it all. Rich, you know about it. It's what it's about, man. The story. There's a beauty of it. This is the Saquon story. He has done everything right in his career. He's got great karma about him. This move, he's buried in New York, right? He's a selfless player. And then here it is on his birthday. he's going to get the crown jewel, and he'll be MVP, and it's just going to be a great story. It's a movie waiting to happen.
And then, Ant, when you talk about stories and storylines going into this game, what's the most overrated part of it from a Chiefs standpoint? What you're just sick of hearing about this aspect of this team, and this is why it gives you so much confidence going into this matchup?
Brady, that's the best. And by the way, great job. Can I just tell you the excellent work all of you guys did this week in bringing all the coverage.
Thank you.
You guys were terrific.
Thanks,
I mean,
guys.
really, I'm so proud of you guys. It's the greatest thing that we're doing with PHLY and ALLCITY, which it gives us the freedom, the creative freedom to just, immerse ourselves in these types of stories. And you guys are at the forefront. But the story I'm most tired of is probably Mahomes. Listen, he's great. I mean, he's every bit as good as Brady was. I mean, he can move. He makes every throw. He's a point guard. He's an amazing player. However, their O-line, there's a reason why he gets rid of the ball the fastest in the NFL this year, because his O-line is not good. It's just not good. Caliendo, even, they moved Tooney outside. He's not great. He's just better than what was there. It was a disaster before. So I think, look, Mahomes is great, and the reason why he didn't beat Tampa and Brady was because both his tackles were hurt in that Super Bowl. I think he goes down. I think Fangio, I'm tired of hearing about, his record against Fangio, which is completely ridiculous because Fangio played with the Broncos and they had no offense, and, it's a team game, the whole thing. You guys know. I think this Eagle defense is so much better than it was 2 years ago, and I think that's the story. I feel confident. I don't think the Chiefs break, 23. I think they're 23 or under. And they may not even break 20 the way I kind of see it. Up the middle, Carter, and then Baun and Cooper DeJean. Look how strong they are up the middle. They're such a good defense, and so I think that's the story. I love Andy to death, and I talked to both Andy and Spags this week, and show them respect.
They've won enough.
Yeah,
They're good.
Seriously. Yeah, listen, GOATs, Hall of Fames, whoever you want to call them, they're all going to be there. God bless. But this Eagles team 2 years ago deserved to win. This is a wrong that needs to be righted.
Hell yeah. Love it, Ant. We'll let you go. Enjoy the game with the fam. We love you.
Sorry, I'm in the dark. I came outside because the house, the kids are going crazy.
We'll post game when we win. I'll hit you up again so we can celebrate, all right?
I love you, boys. Root 'em in! Root 'em in! Go Birds!
Go Birds. There he is, the great Anthony Gargano. The Eagles have apparently taken the field. So let's get to our best bets presented by Bet365. You still got some time to fire some in there. And of course, use the code PHLY365 and you can find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, I'll kick it off. Well, actually, we'll start with Bo. We'll go in order here. Bo's best bets. He has Saquon Barkley over 14.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. You like that?
I think you want to try and beat the blitz, get the ball out fast to Saquon. I like Bo's thinking there.
I know you like this one a lot. Kareem Hunt under 42.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, Bo and I are of like minds here. I really don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball well against this Eagles defense successfully. I think I like the under for both Hunt and for Pacheco here in this one.
And Bo got cheeky and threw in a third bet today.
Look at that.
Took a little Eagles money line at plus 100. My best bets, I love this one. It's an alternate line on DeVonta Smith. Over 80 yards receiving. You can get that at plus 320. I just think the Slim Reaper is gonna have a big play today.
Yeah, I like that too. I like where your head's at on that one. If we did our full game predictions, I think I've got a DeVonta big play in there.
Ooh, all right. And then the last one, Saquon over 21.5 rushing attempts.
Yep.
I think they're going to stick with him. He's the golden goose. He's their workhorse. He's a beast, and I can easily see a game where he has 25, 26 rushes here.
I'm with you, and that's why I went with a Saquon multi-touchdown performance there at
plus
230.
Nice.
Plus 230 on a multi-touchdown. He would have hit it on each of the last 2 playoff games, 3 of the last 5 performances. James Cook would have hit it last week against this defense, so I like that one there for Saquon. And then Dallas Goedert, over 50.5 receiving yards at minus 110. He would have hit it in 3 of his last 4 games. He's been such a big part of this passing attack.
Love it. And there's our pregame picks on Bet365. You can find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, we're going to do our predictions, and then we're going to leave you with Zack and Bo sitting down with the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, earlier this weekend, and give you the gov, taking you into kickoff. I'll kick it off. I am going 34-24. Eagles win by 10. I think the number that will concern me, if the Chiefs get over 28 points, I think that's kind of the mark in the sand where they have a shot to win.
Yep.
I'm counting on the Eagles defense to hold them under 28. I do think they get in the 30s. I think Saquon has at least a touchdown, hopefully 2. I think DeVonta has a killer day. And I think Jalen plays kind of his best ball in the biggest game. So I'm counting on him to have a big day. What do you got for us, Fran?
I think the Chiefs offense comes out. They strike first. They got to an early lead, 13-3, 10-0, something along those lines. There's a big explosive pass.
My anxiety is not going to be able to take that.
We start clenching a little bit in the studio here, but then they get a big explosive pass to Dallas Goedert. It opens things back up, gets the Eagles back into it. After a score, now it's tied up. The defense responds. You get a turnover late in the first half. The Eagles capitalize. Saquon Barkley late in the second quarter. Eagles get a touchdown. They go into the locker room up 17-13. The defense comes back out in the third quarter, Jamie.
Oh.
You get a 3 and out. Then you get another turnover.
Ooh, the momentum's building.
Patrick Mahomes is going to the sideline. He's angry. He's cursing at the offensive line. Reed Blankenship coming away with the takeaway. And now it's DeVonta Smith deep down the field, a deep post route from Jalen Hurts. Rolling to his right, he finds DeVonta over the top. Eagles ahead comfortably, but the Chiefs respond. They get down the field.
No.
They score a touchdown on a 10-play drive. Travis Kelce gets into the end zone. They're still alive.
I think he's a lock for a touchdown, by the way.
I know. Until they're not. Because now the offensive line, they wear down the Chiefs on the ensuing possession. Saquon Barkley, he gets into the end zone for his second touchdown of the game. Eagles up 28-20. The Chiefs march back down the field. They get into the red zone. Jamie, you just talked about it. The Eagles get a red zone stop. A Nolan Smith sack on 3rd down, sets up 4th and a mile. The Chiefs have to settle for 3, and now they get the ball back. The Eagles up 28-20 with 4 minutes left on the clock, and the Eagles ice it. 3rd down conversion to A.J. Brown. 3rd down conversion to DeVonta Smith. They fall up short in getting a touchdown, but they kick a field goal. Jake Elliott puts them up. Eagles win 31-23. They get another Super Bowl.
Love it. Very specific. I could see all that in my mind's eye happening. Love it. Rich, what do you got for us?
Fran wrote the script there. So I'm just going to say, for most of this week, I have never seen a bigger gulf between the national media, who is just picking the Chiefs just because they don't. It's like fear of failure. They I don't want these guys
play.
Versus Philadelphia, which is very confident in this team. Well, guess what? Philadelphia is right, man. The Eagles have better players, and they just deserve this, man. This would be so unbelievably satisfying to lose to these guys 2 years ago. You don't usually get another shot at this.
No.
It is very rare. Like Juju Smith-Schuster.
I think it's the 5th time ever that 2 quarterbacks have rematched.
Yeah, and
Super Bowl.
Jalen, walking off that field with the confetti flying down, not the colors we wanted it to happen. He deserves this. Saquon Barkley deserves this. He deserves to cap off this storybook season. He has been tremendous all year. He has done absolutely everything right. You know who's another guy who deserves this? Vic Fangio deserves this, man. He started his NFL career in New Orleans. He lost his only Super Bowl appearance in New Orleans. He's walking around the French Quarter. He's all sad. He deserves to walk around the French Quarter tonight with a smile on his face.
And a grenade in hand.
Put one of those brass bands behind him. Vic deserves this. We deserve this. Eagles win 34-24.
Oh, me and you were lockstep there. All right, 10-point win. All right, that's going to do it for us here. But we're going to leave you with Governor Josh Shapiro sitting down with Zack and Bo. He's a huge Birds fan. Look, another fun fact for you. Patrick Mahomes has never won a Super Bowl in a year where his kids were born. He just had a kid a month ago, so he's got no chance. So there you have it. Lock. All right, here, thank you to everybody. There's going to be a live stream going on in our living room watching the game. We're going to be back for halftime.
Join us.
Vinny Curry's going to be with us. We'll bring him in for halftime. He's definitely going to be with us post-game. Zack and Bo are going to be checking in post-game. We can't wait to celebrate with everybody. Vibes are high. Birds are going to get this done. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet365 and Ace Hardware Home Services, our presenting sponsors. Thank you to everybody in here for hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up button. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And here's the Governor Josh Shapiro with Zack and Bo.
All right, we are here with Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Great swag, first of all. Thanks for joining us. Great to be with you guys. We're in the Eagles Hotel. Yeah. Are there sightings that still make you like a little bit starstruck?
It's wild. First off, just like walking through, players are hanging out with the fans and folks are stopping to talk to me. It's amazing. It's just like an incredible vibe. Philly is here in New Orleans. It's amazing.
I'm curious when the fan hat comes on and the governor hat comes off when you're here in New Orleans for the weekend.
I think I wear them both. I mean, I spend a lot of time while I'm here trying to do economic development, sell our Commonwealth. 2 years ago when I was at the Super Bowl, I was selling our Commonwealth to Roger Goodell in the NFL to bring the NFL draft to Pittsburgh in 2026. We were successful.
Good sell job.
Yeah, I was a big pain in his ass. But so there's some of that, and I spend time doing that. It's important. That's a big part of my job. Then I got to tell you, like, I'm always a fan. I'm always representing the Birds, and it's just like I feel like a kid again. You know, in our youth, I'm probably a little older than you guys. I'm 51. But, you know, we had that long, dry spell where nobody won anything in Philly sports. Now my kids are seeing, right, Eagles go to the Super Bowl, Phils are constantly in the playoffs, right? Sixers not so great right now, but it's like I still am hungry for, you know, the big win as a fan, given how I grew up. So it's exciting. So I guess I wear both hats.
So 2 years ago in Arizona, and now also, you know, in Minneapolis. How does this team compare? Like, how much faith do you have in this team versus those other two Super Bowl teams?
So obviously there's a lot of consistency between the two teams. I think at every position we're better. And at the two areas where you need to be best to win championships, offensive line and defensive line, I think we have the best in the NFL. That's how you win championships. That's what Howie has always worked to build. And then you go from there. And so I think our offensive line is better, and offensive and defensive line, better objectively than we were 2 years ago. Now, look, Kansas City's a hell of a team. I hate to admit that, but they are. I think if there's any team in the NFL that can beat them, it's us.
The last time we spoke to you, I asked you about Saquon Barkley's approval rating relative to yours.
Way.
And since then, he's reached 2,000 yards, won Offensive Player of the Year. What perspective do you have on Saquon Barkley, not just as a player, but as a Pennsylvanian?
Yeah. I feel privileged. I've gotten to know Saquon Barkley a little bit, and he is a wonderful human being. I mean, he's a guy from Pennsylvania, from the Lehigh Valley, went to Penn State, was a hero there. And while he had that detour up 95 for a few years, you just tell how much he loves the community. What I appreciate most about him off the field is when we have a conversation, it's always about how can I help in the community? What can I do? If you think about it, a guy like Saquon Barkley, he doesn't have to do anything. He's fabulously rich, very successful. He could actually live apart and not care, but he gives a damn about the community, gives a damn about our Commonwealth. And I think it's extraordinary. It's a real testament to him. And there's a bunch of players on the Birds who care and give back. BG's another example that thought he should have been IFL Man of the Year. I thought he was robbed. But there's a number of guys who just really, really give a damn. I was at a Philly public school around Christmas time with the entire offensive line, plus Jason Kelsey. And they were out giving out toys and hanging out with the kids, spending time. They don't need to be doing that. And they are. There's a great culture on this football team. I think Saquon Barkley fits right in because he lives and breathes that kind of culture. He's a special guy.
Zach talked to Jeffrey Lurie on Monday night and sort of intimated that he maybe wants to do some stuff at the stadium. The lease is coming up. What did you make of his comments?
First off, I love Jeffrey Lurie. This guy has invested in the team. He's invested in the city. He's a hands-on owner. He really cares, right? The work he's done with the Autism Foundation has been life-changing for so many people. So I think he's great. I know he wants to think about what comes next, and I love somebody who's hungry to do more. We'll sit down and we'll talk about what his plans are when he formulates them. What I'm excited about right now is you have all of the sports teams working together in South Philly now that we got that deal done.
Right.
And so you're going to have a state-of-the-art arena for the Sixers, the Flyers. You're going to have all kinds of development in that area. I hope that we can pull that off. Restaurants, bars, residential, all kinds of great stuff. You pair that together with the Navy Yard and with what's happening at Bellwether, and South Philly is going to be on fire over the course of the next decade, I believe. And so all the teams together, with obviously the big one being the Eagles, right, is really exciting for Philly and really exciting for the Commonwealth. And we're going to be a part of what they want to do.
And part of the impetus of those conversations is an event like this. You're in New Orleans, you see how many people congregate and the way it helps the area when there is a Super Bowl, compared to, though, you saw the cold weather game, the intimacy of the snow game.
Yeah.
How do you kind of view there's football in the Northeast in cold weather in the snow compared to having a dome stadium where you can host events like this?
Yeah, I mean, you can host events. You don't have to worry about the weather at the game, of course. But, man, I think there's something special about football in the winter. I don't know. I just think it's really special. And Philly knows how to put on a big party. We do. I mean, we've done huge, conventions, Democratic and Republican National Convention. In 2026, we're going to host the MLB All-Star Game, PGA Championship. We're working on a few other things as well in that realm. We've got the FIFA World Cup that's coming. On the other side of the state, we've got the NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. We know how to do big events in Pennsylvania, and it brings in hundreds of millions of dollars in economic opportunity for our Commonwealth. That's a big thing. Hospitality and tourism is really important. And so we're going to be partnering with our sports teams to see what they need to make sure Philly and Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh can be an even more attractive draw.
All right, I'm sure we know which way you're leaning, but let's get you on the record against the Chiefs. Some would say the greatest moral evil in the country these days.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
So I'm going to give you an exact score, but let me give you a little
All right,
up to it. One, I love the fact that we're like America's team now, right? It's amazing. People want Philly to win this game, and I think that's awesome. I'm getting texts from other governors, not the Kansas or Missouri governor, but other governors, other people around the country say, I usually hate the Eagles,
Sure,
but I'm rooting for you. So I love that. I think that that's exciting, and you can feel that. When it comes to the game, I really think our ability to control the offensive line, to give Jalen a little more time, to give Saquon the opportunity to get going, especially if we can score early and play from ahead, not behind. So when you're playing from behind, that messes with your running game. I think the Birds are going to put 31 points on the board. Now, I think our defense cannot stop Patrick Mahomes. You can't stop that team. They're a very good team. But I think you can sort of contain them. Sure hope Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the ball in his hands with 2 minutes to go. I think they're going to score 27 points. I got the Birds winning this game 31-27. It is a bit of a heart pick, but it's also a head pick because I think we're a better team.
If that were to happen, will it be a parade at some point? What memories do you have as an Eagles fan, Sixers fan, Phillies fan of parades up Broad Street or down Broad Street?
Man, I remember like as a kid just being there with my family, in the stands or on the street, kind of watching them go by and just having great pride and feeling excitement, jubilation, man. It was just really cool. It's a great family experience to do that. And then, what was it, about 6 years ago now when the Birds won, we got the opportunity to sit a little bit closer, which was pretty neat.
You know some people.
And just to see the excitement on their faces. And of course, Kelsey's epic speech may be the greatest speech of my lifetime, right?
You can hire him as a speechwriter.
I would say, actually, I'm going to say the second greatest speech in Pennsylvania history after, of course, the Gettysburg Address. So it was Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and then Kelsey's parade speech.
How high up is your best speech rank?
Under Kelsey's, I'll tell you that much. No, it was just really, really cool, really exciting. And I want my kids to be able to experience it. I want other kids to be able to experience that. Philly's a great town. It's a great Commonwealth, and we should have winners all the time.
All right, Governor Shapiro.
Great to be with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for all you guys do, okay?
More to come on ALLCITY.
We all silly like the mayor.